Hello, this is Jeff Schneider with the Hastings Public Schools. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes of your time to get informed about our upcoming ballot question related to Morton Elementary. Obviously, it's a very difficult time for everyone in our community and really everywhere in our country. And we're very sensitive to that. And so we're going to get right into this situation and try to explain how that plays into what we're trying to do. We originally had this question on the May 12th primary ballot, and we had a plan to educate our community in April and the beginning of May. We had about 20 presentations that were scheduled, but then when COVID 19 hit, pretty much everything came to a halt. So at that time, we considered removing the question from the ballot, but it was too late to do so. So then we had to really think about how we were going to proceed and what to do from here. Again, I can't highlight enough the fact that we're very sensitive, that this is a difficult time. So we really wanted to think through this because it's difficult to talk to our community about approving a project like this in such uncertain times. But due to the fact that this project will not increase anyone's property tax payment, I want to highlight that. Your property tax payment will be the same for the Hastings Public Schools, whether this passes or fails. And given the fact that it's a $6 million project at that circumstance, we feel as though it could be a very positive project for our community since it's geared towards local contractors. So, after much consideration, we believe it makes the most sense to proceed with this ballot question and simply listen to our voters. So, what is this issue that we're talking about? Again, on the primary on May 12th, 2020, we have a $6 million renovation project for Morton Elementary, and the purpose would be to use this 90-year-old facility for a preschool center and administration offices. When you look at our long-range facility planning, when you look at this particular slide, you'll see that all of our buildings, all of our elementaries have been touched since 2016, with the exception of Morton, the one we're talking about. And then obviously the middle school and high school. Obviously a new middle school in '08 and a large addition and some upgrades to our high school in 2010. So really Morton is the building that's been left out of the picture. And some might ask, well, why is that? And how did we get here? Well, in 2014, we had a community group that decided to do a $21.5 million bond campaign for our elementary facilities. We went back and looked at the presentations we used back in 2014, and I quoted one of them. The idea then was a 5-school model with Morton as a preschool center or to serve other space needs. And I bring this up because this is not just some new idea that's happened in the last year. This is something that we've had in our minds since 2014, and we'd like to finish the project, if you will. So back in 2014, the Community Facility Advisory Committee envisioned this, but we didn't ask for enough money to get Morton done. Why did we not do that? We didn't want to ask the community to raise taxes. So we went with the $21.5 million because we could do it without raising the levy. The next question might be, why does HPS even provide preschool? Well, both state and federal law require HPS to provide special education services to certain students birth to age 21. So for certain students, preschool is a mandated program. We currently have 9 classrooms dedicated to preschool. We have 4 at Alcott, 3 at Hawthorne, and 2 at Lincoln Elementary. We also rent 2 classrooms at Head Start for toddler groups. There is not a cost for anybody to attend our preschools, but again, they must qualify for services. Not everybody qualifies, but we currently have almost 200 kids in our preschool program attending at one of our elementary schools. So what's wrong with the current preschool locations? The location of each preschool classroom is determined year by year based on our K-5 enrollment. This means classrooms may need to move any given year based on the space available. It's not uncommon for us to have to move the location of a preschool classroom from one building to another in August because of incoming kindergarten enrollment. And as you can imagine, neither teachers nor parents appreciate a late change of placement. This is one of the things that's very attractive to us about having Morton be a preschool center. The next question might be that what's wrong with our current administrative offices? The answer is nothing. The administrative offices are not the reason or the catalyst for this project. The preschool space is the catalyst. We simply think it makes sense to operate one less building since the preschool program and admin offices would both fit into Morton Elementary. It'll just be more efficient if we operate one less building. Another benefit to the district office being located in the same building as the preschool center would be the sharing of staff members such as custodians and secretaries. Why not use Morton as is? Might be another question that would come up. Well, the building is 90 years old and it needs an infrastructure update. Given the fact that it's going to be vacant after this school year, now is the time to do this project. It really helps that the borrowing rates are as cheap as they are right now also, which makes it even more attractive. Just like any other building in our community, if we don't invest in it to keep it up, it's not going to be viable in the future. So we believe it makes sense to do this. And we think the timing, other than the given circumstance of the COVID-19, the timing is perfect. Why turn Morton into a preschool center? This will give our youngest students a building specifically designed for them, including an age-appropriate playground and appropriate pickup and drop-off procedures with young children. We also think that having a preschool center will allow the specialists, our physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, to be used in a much more efficient manner. So what are we going to do if this doesn't pass? That's a great question. Morton obviously will be vacated next year, and the district will have to consider future options. I suppose those options would include knocking the building down, selling the building. Who knows what those options would be? But no matter what options we look at, I think it's going to cost money, and I don't think we want to. I think the school district needs this space and needs this property. And I think it's also good for that neighborhood if we keep this property up. So I think that's something our community will support. What would the Morton Preschool project consist of? It would be an updated infrastructure, sewer, electrical, HVAC, plumbing. The existing space will be remodeled, so it will have new windows, flooring, lighting, and appropriate restrooms for young children. We'd make it ADA compliant and add an elevator. It would have a very specific playground that was designed for preschool that would be fenced in appropriately and be very safe. And it would have pickup and drop-off locations that would be geared for our youngest students. When you're taking 3 and 4-year-olds to school, you got to be very careful about the pickup and drop-off for the safety of those young students. The actual work on the building would be very similar to what you've seen at Alcott and Longfellow Elementary. I think both of those projects has been popular in our community. I think our community has appreciated the fact that we've had old buildings and that we've invested in them and they're going to be viable into the future. If you look at the site plan at Morton, one of the things that would need to be done, if you look at the west side or the back of Morton, it would be that half of that west side would be used for a playground for that preschool. The other half would be to develop parking. If we had both preschool and our admin offices there'd be about 50 adults reporting to work every day at that building. So we do want to make sure we had enough parking to keep the cars off the neighborhood streets. Again, that adds to the safety of your pickup and your drop-off for parents and students. If you look at this first floor plan, all the plans in blue would be classroom space. And if you look at the bottom right-hand corner of the purple, those would be a secure entrance and offices right at the beginning of the building. Nobody would be allowed into the building without being buzzed in and having a visual on that person. Again, designing with the safety of students in mind. On the second floor, if you look at 2/3 of the building, or the purple, would be used for administrative offices and a boardroom. The other third would be 4 classrooms that we would remodel and keep for future programming. This could be expanded preschool. It could also be if we run into other space issues. Again, I think the expanded space is something we'd need. But as you can see, the administrative offices would not take up the entire second floor, but only part of it. So let's get to the part about how we pay for this. What will the tax impact be? There will not be any additional taxes for this project. So I know the next question is, how can this be true? So we're asking for the community for permission to borrow $6 million to complete this project. We refinanced bonds last fall and saved about $2 million off our current debt. We're currently in the process of refinancing more bonds this spring and believe we'll save another $1 million. So there's $3 million of the $6 million. The other $3 million can be paid for within our existing levy. Because we've had such good fortune of very low interest rates and have been able to do a lot of bond refinancing, in our existing tax levy, we can handle the payments. So the next question somebody asked was, well, why are you even asking for permission? Why don't you just do this? It is law. For us to borrow the funds, we need the approval of the voters. So again, we're asking for permission to borrow the money, but we are not asking for permission to raise your property taxes. We believe that we're going to pay off all of our debt in approximately 2040. If this is approved, it may extend our payments to 2041. So again, it's not going to change your payments. It could add a year to them, although I believe that we'll make it by 2040. It's a pretty conservative estimate. So what are our long-range plans for our facilities? We have talked about elementaries, and we built a new middle school in 2008. Well, if we can pay off all of our debt by 2041, which I'm confident we can, it'll set up our community to address what will be a 90-year-old high school without having to ask for a large tax increase. The point to all this, we went years in this community without addressing our facilities and found ourselves in a tough spot. That's why this community has had to pass 3 bond issues in the last 12 years in order for us to get our facilities up to speed. Well, we feel like we now have a consistent approach, and the next challenge will be in about 20 years, and it'll be a time to address our high school, but at least we have a vehicle set up to help that generation accomplish that task. So the ballot language. Here's the nice thing about the ballot language. It's straightforward. If you think this is a good idea, you want to vote for this. If you think it's a bad idea, you want to vote against it. There have been some ballots where it hasn't worked like that, but I think in this particular question, yes means yes and no means no. So at least it's straightforward and hopefully easy to understand. So finally, to review, in closing, there will be no tax levy increase if this is approved. There will be no tax levy decrease if it's not approved. It's going to stay the same. The election is May 12th, 2020. This would renovate Morton Elementary into a preschool center and house our district office, and we'd try to sell our existing district office. And again, we want to stress that we're very sensitive to the fact that this is a very difficult time for everyone in our community. So we're simply going to proceed with caution and listen to the voters. If you would like to contact us with questions, you can look at our website. My email address is jeff.schneider@hpstigers.org. Be happy to answer any questions you have. Or we can be reached at 402-461-7511. Thank you so much for taking the time. We hope to hear from you with your feedback. And most importantly, during these times, stay safe. Thank you.